Hey guys, we're going to review Chapter 16 from Unit 5, Socializing and Educating Staff in a Learning Organization. The philosophy of learning organizations are they are collective learning goes beyond the boundaries of individual learning and releases gains for both the individual and the organization. That the organization can grow and improve as well as each individual staff member. The learning organization promotes a shared vision and a collective learning in order to create positive and needed organizational change. The key characteristics of Singe's model of learning organizations is system thinking, personal mastery, team learning, mental models, and a shared vision. Training versus education. Training and education are important parts of staff development, but they are different. Training may be defined as an organized method of ensuring that people have knowledge and skills for a specific purpose and that they have acquired the necessary knowledge to perform the duties of the job. Whereas education is more formal and broader in scope than training. Whereas training has an immediate use, education is designed to develop individuals in a broader sense. So education is looking on that long-term professional development or just development in general, and training is more of those skills that you need to learn to perform your job right now. To tell whether the statement is true or false, and an organization arranges a 2-day long session for its employees. This is an example of education. True or false? It's false. Training is a way of ensuring that people have knowledge and skills for a specific purpose, where education is more formal and broader in scope. When you look a 2-day long session, such as the organizational session, that may be more of a training piece than an actual educational environment. So staff development, evaluation for quality control and for fiscal accountability. Managers and the education department staff have a shared responsibility for the education and training of staff. It's important for the education department to have that program developed, and the managers need to hold staff accountable that they are completing the required education and training that they need to. So learning theories, the adult learning theory is a pediology or pedagogy versus andagogy. And then social learning theory is a learning from interactions with others in a social context. These are both developed in the 70s. Other learning concepts include readiness to learn, motivation to learn, reinforcement, task learning, transfer of learning, span of memory, chunking, and knowledge of results. How many chunks of data can the average person retain? A, 1 or 2, B, 3 or 5, C, 5 to 9, or D, 10 to 12. That'd be C, 5 to 9. The average individual can remember 5 to 9 chunks of information, although this varies based on expertise and experience. Implications of Knowles' work for trainers and educators. This is a climate of openness and respect that will assist in the identification of what the adult learner wants and needs to learn. Adults enjoy taking part in the planning their learning experiences. Adults should be involved in the evaluation of their progress, and experimental techniques work best with adults. Mistakes are opportunities for adult learning. If the value of the adult experience is rejected, the adult will feel rejected. So it's important to value their experience. Adults' readiness to learn is greatest when they recognize that there is a need to know, such as a response to a problem. And adults need the opportunity to apply what they have learned very quickly after the learning. Assessment of need is imperative in the adult learning. So obstacles to assess adult learning would be institutional barriers, time, self-confidence, situational obstacles, family reaction, and special individual obstacles. Assets for learning include high self-motivation, self-directed, a proven learner, knowledge experience, and special individual assets. So three reasons for staff development include to establish competence, you want your staff to be competent, to meet new learning needs, and to satisfy interests the staff may have in learning the specific areas. Sequence for developing an educational program should include identifying the desired knowledge or skill that the staff should have, identify the present level of knowledge or skill, so know where they are currently with their knowledge, determine the deficit or desired knowledge and skills, so what do they need to learn, where do I want them to be, identify the resources available to meet the needs. What do I have available? Do I need to create new resources to be able to meet these needs? Make a maximum use of available resources. So make sure to use what you already have available. Evaluate the test outcomes after use of resources. So 4 criteria for evaluation of staff development activities include a learner's reaction, to make sure you have a follow-up, whether it be a survey to know how the learners felt about the activity. Behavior change, you see behaviors change after it. Was there an organizational impact, and the cost effectiveness of the activities? Evidence-based practice, or facilitating evidence-based practice, is a shared responsibility for the professional nurse, the organization, the leader, managers, and the educational or staff development department. EBP is something that is across the continuum and takes everybody to make it happen. So strategies for promoting evidence-based practice include development and refine research-based policies and procedures, build consensus from the interdisciplinary team through development of protocols, decision trees, standards of care, institutional clinical practice guidelines, make research findings accessible through libraries and computer resources. Provide organizational support, such as time to do research and educational assistance to teach staff to interpret research statistics and use the findings. Encourage cooperation among professionals, and when possible, hire nurse researchers or consultants to assist staff. Socialization and resocialization. This is the learning of the behaviors that accompany each role by instruction, observation, and trial and error. It involves the sharing of the values and attitudes of the organization. It creates a fit between new staff members and the unit by introducing them to the norms of the group. The first socialization to the nursing role occurs during nursing school and continues after graduation. Socialization needs of international nurses. It's a unique socialization need. As you can imagine, they are not from our area, so cultural, professional, and psychological, there's differences there. You have communication problems that can sometimes be a hindrance, and anxiety, homesickness, and isolation. Those are all things that international nurses have to overcome. Meeting the educational needs of a culturally diverse staff. You want to respect cultural diversity, recognize it as a desirable thing to have in your organization, and recognize the different perspectives of classroom and instructional learning. Resocialization occurs when individuals are forced to learn new values, skills, attributes, and social rules as a result of changes in the type of work they do, in the scope of responsibility they hold, or in the work setting itself. Organizations often fail to address socialization problems that occur in job positions or status changes. Role overload occurs when the demands of the role are excessive. Team building via role models, preceptors, and mentors. These roles help to clarify role expectations through the use of social interaction and educational process. Each role has a different focus and uses different mechanisms. So role models are examples are experienced and competent employees. The relationship is passive and non-existent, and you see behavior in someone you want to emulate. A person can have many role models, and there is a cumulative effect. Preceptors have an active and purposeful role. That's an experienced nurse who provides emotional support. They have a strong clinical skill role model. They provide close supervision, and they're non-judgmental. A well-known, respected practitioner whom you have heard lecture but you do not know personally is an example of A role model, B, a preceptor, or C, a mentor. That'd be a role model. A role model is someone with whom you have little or no relationship, whereas a preceptor or mentor provides close supervision. So mentoring is an in-depth, supportive, and nurturing relationship between an expert and a novice. Formal relationship typically lasts 2 to 5 years, with mentor being one generation older than the mentee. Many nurses do not have the opportunity to have a true mentoring relationship in their lives. I really encourage you to try, you have your preceptors, and those can kind of turn into mentors too once the precepting is done. But even if your preceptor isn't somebody that you look to as a mentor later on, I encourage you to find that person that can be your mentor. I've had many mentors in my career, and it's lasting relationships to keep, even when we've kind of moved from that mentoring to where we're more colleagues and on this maybe the same level. It's still a great relationship to have, help build and support each other. So phases of mentoring are finding and connecting, learning, listening, changing and shifting, and then you then turn to mentoring others. So that's the person that you find, you're able to connect with them. You they're helping you learn and grow, so you're learning and you're listening from them, and then in turn you change and shift, and you kind of are going from that novice to that expert with the help of your mentor, and then you reach a certain level where you realize, oh, I can now offer what was given to me to other people, and you start mentoring others. Sanctions. This is bestowing the rewards and punishments, rarely carried out on a systematic and planned basis, used to show employees what behavior is rewarded or skewed in an organization. Coaching, one person helping another to achieve an optimal level of performance. Tool for empowering subordinates, changing behavior and developing a cohesive team. Emphasis on assisting the employee to recognize greater options, to clarify statements, and to grow. Group norms. This is the manager should know what the group norms are and should be observant of the sanctions used by the group to make newcomers conform. And the manager should take appropriate interventions if the group norms are not part of the organizational culture. Continual supportive learning environment is a permissive of the learning. A premise of the learning organization is that learning itself enhances the team, and the integrated leader manager encourages all individuals in the organization and is a role model of the lifelong learning process. That is it for chapter 16. Thanks, guys.